Well, first of all, thank you for coming, and
You shouldn't have given me the mic stand. I'm going to be playing with this for the whole episode.
I play with mine too. It's like a little mini.
How do you got yours is longer? Oh shit! Yeah, okay.
And then you can tighten it here.
All right, yeah.
And then you can do the thing where you putting it up, putting it down. You can move around with it
you
like
can
it's
lean on it.
Yeah.
I just hold it like I like holding it.
You can also have it like this.
Okay.
You know.
I'm gonna hold
is this thing on?
I like this. This is
Yeah.
good. This
Yeah.
feels natural.
That feels you look comfortable.
I am. I know it doesn't look. It feels comfortable. I'm slightly feel that my microphone is staring at me as well. I don't know.
Well, that is because I have an extra camera inside, to get like the close up, the action.
I've never actually looked at a microphone up close like it's slightly intimidating. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a kind of end times vibe to it. What was the desert movie?
Dune.
Not Dune, the one before that. Mad Max.
Mad Max.
It has a kind of a Mad Max vibe to it. Maybe this is the Thunderdome.
That's okay. Maybe. I don't know if I'm I'd rather be I think I'd rather be with the microphone than Mel Gibson in the Thunderdome. I think.
Yeah.
I think so. I think I can handle this.
This seems better. Than
this seems better.
The
I also don't think he hits the Jews as much as Mel Gibson. So.
Yeah. Yeah. My microphones are not anti-Semitic.
Okay,
so
cool.
I
That's
want to
good.
say that.
They also don't leave hateful voicemails to their ex-wives as well.
Exactly.
That's good. That's good.
They also have never.
They
sold
record
out,
them though. They do record
$1 million box office movies, but
it's true.
You win some, you lose
You win.
some.
Yeah. To have artistic integrity, there are some losses you have to take.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, okay. So, I always like to start the podcast to have you just introduce yourself. Your name, a little bit about you.
Yeah. I'm Shannon. Yeah, so I'm Shannon. I've been a comedian for. This feels weird. I don't know why. I do podcasts a lot, and people ask me to introduce myself, and it changes every single time. I haven't found a good way to do it yet.
I think the thing is, as a podcast host, asking people to introduce themselves is
lazy. It's lazy. Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
it's like I'm like, I don't want to do an intro, and I'm like, do your own
intro.
And also, for me, there's a part of me too where I'm like, with some people, maybe yourself included, I'm like, am I going to pronounce their name exactly correctly? Or I leave it to them. I hear it once. It's Shannon.
It's Shannon.
I know it's Shannon.
But then you have
you have the Irish kind of spelling.
You've got the rest of the name though. That's where people get Shannon. It's the double-barreled second name that fucks people up.
Okay.
Yeah. So my name is Shannon Basso Gaule, right? Yeah. And I know you have problems with Gaule. The Charles de Gaulle.
Yes.
Airport in particular.
Yes, I do have big problems with Charles de Gaulle, but I don't mind a Galway girl. So,
Now, yeah. Oh gosh, that was good. I will give you that one. Yeah. I have not heard that one before. Yeah. I have not heard that one before. So, like my Irish name Gaule, right, is French.
Okay.
It comes from Gaule, the French Gaule.
Who leaves France to migrate to Ireland?
Alcoholics. Like yeah. I really don't know. So it's weird. Like my Irish name is French, right? And then Basso is my French name, but that's Italian. So my mother is half French and half Italian.
Okay.
And I did listen to your Fuck Air France podcast. and I agree with everything you said.
It's just the worst customer service experience I've ever had.
I just think airplanes, not airplanes. What are they called? Airlines. They are the worst to deal with. I had a similar situation where when I was flying back from New Zealand to Ireland, right, we had to get a flight from Wellington to Auckland, which is a 2-hour flight, and this was during the pandemic. Just at the end of it.
That?
What's that? Oh shit! Do we not talk about
it? No, we can talk.
We can talk. Well, okay. So
it's the pandemic. You have a 2-hour flight.
It was the end of the pandemic was kind of ending everywhere, but in New Zealand it just caught up, and we were flying back to Ireland, and there was an imposed lockdown in Auckland, right? Not where I lived.
Yeah.
And I had to fly there to fly out of the country, and our flight from Wellington to Auckland was cancelled like 2 weeks before our flight, and we got told 24 hours before our flight. So we literally were like, how are we going to get there? Because you couldn't like drive up there because it's like a 12-hour, something like a 12-hour drive.
Oh shit.
And you also like couldn't rent, like I think we could have drove, but we'd have to rent a car, and I'd have to drive all through the night to get there.
Yeah. And then hope that there's one of those places that'll let you just leave the car or whatever.
Yeah. But the other problem is there's checkpoints into the city of Auckland, and I don't know how long you'd have to, like, we get held up at the checkpoint to actually get through. So it's like, that's not
fucking dystopian.
Yeah. It was. I was like, how the fuck are we getting home? And we luckily were able to get a flight from, like, there's only 2 flights a day, and we got one flight, but it was like $500, which was a lot of money.
Of course,
with 24 hours for leaving the country. And we emailed, I think we were with Emirates. And we emailed them. It's like, hey, this flight was cancelled. It was with a local airline, Jetstar, which are notoriously bad, but they're cheap, so you don't mind. And they're like, oh yeah, like we rang them and said, hey, this flight's been cancelled. We're out $500. We spent like, I think, $300 on the flight up there. And they're like, well, that's nothing to do with us. I was like, what do you mean? How is it nothing? It's like, that's not our airline. So, yeah, but we booked everything through you.
Through the Emirates.
Through Emirates. And they're like, yeah, that's nothing to do with it.
That's so fucking slimy.
Like, my girlfriend fiance was a bit drunk, and she's on the phone, and I could see it. She was ready to pop off. Also, she was on the phone, like, to customer service in the, United UAE, isn't it?
Yeah.
He was, like, being disrespectful as fuck to her. She was like, you need to talk to him because he's not listening to me.
Yeah.
And then I finally was like, dude, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. And we are now in the process of, like, you can sue, you can get, like, not sue, but you get, like
file a complaint or something.
File not a complaint, but like you can do kind of like a lawsuit because you're out, like, whatever amount of money. If you're flying to Europe and if your flight is cancelled within a certain amount of money and with a certain amount of time, you can get like double the amount of the money back. It can take like 3 or 4 years, but United Arab Emirates, we're coming for you.
Yeah. I hate that, like, these airlines just, I don't know, I feel like they just know that they can get away with this shit. Because I also had so, like, I work, I don't know if you know this actually, so I work as a commercial fisherman in Alaska. And
of course, that didn't come up in Barcelona.
Yeah, it's what I do. But so last year, at the end of the season, you can buy like a box of these, like, frozen salmon fillets. 50-pound box, and it costs, like, 50 pounds of frozen wild-caught salmon. It's like, even at the discounted price that we get it at, it's still several $100s, right? And Alaska Airlines specifically, like, they work with fishermen, they know the thing, and they say, like, we'll keep your thing frozen. They have freezers at their airports, whatever. And when I tried to bring my fish home at the end of last year, when I showed up in San Francisco, they were like, your fish are in Phoenix, Arizona. And I was like, whoa, like, they're kind of perishable. Like, what the fuck? And so they showed up the next day, and they were all, like, mostly all thawed out and ruined. Like 70% of the box was ruined, and I was like pissed, and I was like, blah blah blah, and they're like, well, if you're flying with perishables, like that's on you. And I was like, yeah, but I even had to pay like this $50 for like the insurance of it.
You put the sticker on it that said like that's on you. Like
and you sent it to Phoenix.
I don't want it is like whenever you try and complain to an airline, you have to go through 7 modes of like communication, and they're all just like hoping you get lost. That's it.
I feel like these companies' whole strategy is that they're like, you're just going to get tired and give up.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what happened. They told me they were going to give me a bunch of miles, and they never did. And then I was over here, so I couldn't like call the number back in the States anyways. And I was like, well, all right.
Okay, they won.
They won.
No, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. It is. I did like...
But how did you guys end up getting home?
Oh, we ended up booking a flight for $500, got there, and it was actually quite easy in the end, but it was kind of anticlimactic.
But still, fuck you, UAE.
We're going to take $400 back from you.
$400 is a lot of money, though, and I mean,
yeah, comparative to what they make, I don't think they, but I think it's that thing is like they don't want to give it away, because if they start doing that, everyone's going to know the secret.
Yeah,
like. And I think it's also a little strategy on the law firms that do it. It's like, oh, we'll do it for you. We'll take a percentage, and it's such a small percentage that like we're great because we got a little bit of money back. They get a little bit of money back. I guarantee, like they just know who to contact.
Yeah,
it's like, how are
it's
they?
Like one email for them.
Yeah, and it's like, how do they know the one person? Like, why is I know why the solicitors don't tell people, but like, how is no one got that information out there? It's annoying. Me personally, I would just forget. I would have just forgotten about it and not do it. But my fiance is just like, no, we're getting it back. And it's like, you take on that.
Yeah, sometimes you need to like just be bitter enough to be like, no, I'm gonna fucking, even though at a certain point you're like, the cost benefit analysis, the amount of time I've sunken into this enterprise is like not even worth it, but you're like, it's about the principle.
It is. Also, you didn't, like, I was walking around Berlin doing a bit of sightseeing, and like I was listening to your podcast, and I wasn't paying attention to anything I was reading. Like I was at like the Checkpoint Charlie, and everything was going through my back. I was like, fuck Air France. And I was just like, yeah, get him. Yeah. And then it was, when you were doing your monologue, and then the camera shut off.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where I was, but I was at a pretty I was at like the Berlin Wall, and I just burst out laughing really hard.
That was such poor timing. I was like, I'm gonna do this rant. I'm gonna like, it's a clip,
because like it resonated with me, because like when you're like, I'm having a day, like I had that kind of day yesterday.
Yeah.
But just like I was getting lost in public transport, like I'm in a capsule hotel, I'm buying sparkling water instead of fucking normal water. That was the most disappointed I've been as an adult in so long. I was just like, how have I done this? Like, and you can't. And the worst thing is, when you open the sparkling water, like it takes so long to actually open the bottle because it'll fizz up, and you're waiting, and it's ridiculous because you're like, it's water. Why is it fizzing?
Yeah.
It's fizzing, and I have to wait for this, and I'm already disappointed. And when I taste it, I'm gonna be even more disappointed, and I'm just waiting in disappointment for disappointment.
But I do want you to know you've stepped into something. This is one of the biggest parts of German culture. From an outsider expat perspective, living in Germany, sparkling water is kind of the crux of the entire culture. It's holding the whole thing together.
How? Why?
I don't know. Germans love sparkling water, and it's also a thing. Like if you go to like a nice dinner at a German family's home in the countryside,
okay,
they put out the sparkling water on the table and then a little bit of juice, and then you make like your own mix on the table. They love the bubbles. I don't know.
It is similar in France. There is sparkling water a lot in France as well. I think it's a very European thing.
Yeah. But and here's the thing. I like a sparkling water, but what I will say is it doesn't quench the thirst.
It
doesn't quench the thirst in the way of just a normal.
No.
Like if you really like, I'd love a glass of water. A glass of sparkling water is not.
No, it's you feel assaulted in your mouth, and that's about it. Like I think that's all it is. It doesn't. I don't know the purpose of it. Like you can't drink a lot of it because you screw yourself. Like the only thing I've known it's good for is when you like have diarrhea. and you drink sparkling water.
Really? I never heard this.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's true. My friend did it, so I'm presuming he's got his shit together.
I heard Coke was a thing if your stomach was upset.
Yeah, and I don't know if you had this in the States, but like our whole like medical system was based on like 7-Up that had gone flat. Like that was, no matter how sick you were in Ireland, they were like the doctor. Like this would come from the doctor. He'd be like, just get some Lucozade, open the cap, let it go flat, and sip on that. It doesn't matter what was. He'd give you a prescription of antibiotics, and then give a side note. It was like flat 7-Up and Lucozade. Like none of those hydrate you. They're just full of sugar, and they're just like that'll set you right. And it doesn't matter what was wrong with you. That was literally the crux of the medical system.
I like that. That's the like the bedrock. The doctor's like, okay, 7-Up is probably you're bleeding out.
Yeah,
let's put some 7-Up.
Flat 7-Up.
Yeah,
like you can't be drinking bubbles when you're sick. It needs to be flat and no taste. I don't know why. Again, it's one of those. I don't even know if you call it like an old wives' tale.
Yeah,
because like they clearly didn't have 7-Up, you know, when those tales originated. So it's clearly a new thing from like the 30s.
But my mom always used to, like, when I was sick, she would give me ginger ale. And I think that came from like people with when there used to be real ginger.
It used to be real. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But I can also imagine how someone would be like, ginger ale, 7-Up. Oh, they're close.
We didn't. Ginger is far too much of like a exotic spice in Ireland. Like ginger is not to be consumed in a liquid form. Definitely, like it doesn't it only became popular recently because people mixed Jameson and ginger, and that's a big one.
Wait, are they just discovering whiskey gingers in Ireland?
Oh, like 4 or 5 years ago, that became a thing over there. I remember that. Everyone, Jameson ran.
I would think that like Ireland would be the home of a whiskey ginger. I mean,
no, well, we're home of just whiskey.
Yeah,
like.
And you're like, we don't need any of this fancy schmuchy whatever.
No, just the only mixer you'd have is your whiskey glass and maybe a glass of water.
Like a whiskey drink and a vodka drink.
No, that's later.
Yeah.
No, we mix our vodka with, you know, like did you have like the squash over here? You know, you mix water in it. It's like a fruit drink.
I don't know if I know this.
Okay. You know, Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Right. Imagine that, but it's already in like a liquid form. Like from concentrate.
Yeah.
So like we would have that in Ireland. It's called My Waddy.
Okay.
It's an orange concentrate, and you put water in it, and it's like
and then it's a drink.
It's a drink. Yeah.
But then you add the vodka to that.
No. What we do in the pubs is you just get the concentrate and put the vodka in it. And ice.
Oh, instead of the water to make the okay.
And that's why we all have stomach problems as adults in Ireland, because you be like, because you go vodka and orange juice, right? And we're like, well, we've got the cheaper source here. We've got the concentrate. Put the vodka in.
Why bother with those fruits when we could just have some nice concentrated chemicals?
It's just because it's free. It's free to get like a My Waddy is the company. So we go, I have a My Waddy Blackcurrant. So it's free to get that with the vodka. And that's where that comes from. But it's like you'd have 4 or 5 of them, and your stomach would just be like, you'd go like, oh, I think I'm having like, you know, my ulcers are exploding as we speak. It was not a good time.
How old did you say you were again?
I didn't.
You didn't?
I'm 33.
You're 33. Okay, so I'm 32. So because when I was like 19, it's when Four Loko came out. Was that a thing in Ireland? Or?
No.
Because when you were talking about destroying your stomach lining, I would routinely drink. It would be like I would have a Four Loko, and then we have these like 40s, like a malt liquor.
Yeah.
It was like 44 Loko was like the thing, and I think about now, and it's like, holy shit! Like
I was so excited to try Four Loko in my 20s. Like that was like I was like, this looks like the best thing ever. It was like, what was it? It was like a Monster and. Yeah,
it was just like a lot of sugar, very high alcohol percentage, and then a shit ton of like caffeine, taurine. Like it was just like a very alcoholic energy drink.
But what was the alcohol in it?
So it was like a 40-ounce beer where it's like this 12% beer.
Oh, a beer?
Yeah.
I thought it was mixed. See, in my head, it was mixed with like tequila or something.
No, it was malt liquor, which is, I think, just like a high alcohol percentage beer, basically. I might be remembering wrong, and if I am, I really apologize to all
I'm
Four
sure
Loko enthusiasts.
Anyone who drank that much Four Loko back then does not remember. Like they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. I don't think they'll have the attention span to pay attention for more than 3 seconds. But they got banned, and I think I remember I moved, like that would have been 2010. Yeah, around that time. I moved to London in 2012, and I remember I saw a can of Four Loko like in a off license, and I was like, oh my god! And I don't know why I didn't get it. Oh no.
You're probably because I had morals and class.
No, none of that. No, we'd been drinking in our flat, and we went to go out into Camden Town, and instead of going into a bar, what we did was we hung outside a newsagent and they had like these mixed bottles of like whiskey and I actually think it could be whiskey and ginger.
Okay.
And and we were just drinking those. But I left the house because they said they had Four Loko in this newsagents, and they didn't. So I was very disappointed. But I did drink like enough whiskey, and it was fine. But that was my Four Loko story.
Okay. When they like banned the Four Lokos in the States, it was like a thing where it's like we knew it was coming, and so people were buying flats of them to store. It was a moment in time. But correct me if I'm wrong, but like you don't drink anymore, right?
No.
Was there something that prompted that? Was it that you never got the Four Loko? If you had the Four Loko, maybe you would have stayed in the game.
If I had Four Loko 3 years ago, I would be dead now. The reason I quit drinking was because of the 30 years previous of drinking. I was like, we've probably had enough.
You're like, I feel like I've squeezed 60 years into 30.
I don't know. I think it's a weird thing that happens in around your 30s. You either go, I'm going to keep drinking, and I have a healthy version of like what drinking is, and then there was my version of drinking, which was all the wrong sides of it. Like, I was always kind of a responsible drinker, in a way. Like if I was out and I realized I was getting like too drunk, or I would never stay out longer than that just to keep drinking. I'd be like, I've had enough, I'll go. But it got to a point where I was drinking at home because I didn't like going out because it's too loud. And messy. But I drink like 4 bottles of wine. Yeah. And I'd be like, and then I wake up if there's a bit in the glass, I'd be like, whoop. First thing in the morning, because it's wine. It's not like wine. Yeah. Like it's
classy. It goes with a meal. You're like, I'm gonna have breakfast.
Yeah, Rice Krispies and wine. That is a connoisseur's breakfast. But like even in Ireland, like if people say, are you drinking? I was like, no. I was like, you'll have a glass of wine though. And I'm like, that's alcohol. And they're like,
still drinking.
They're like, no, it's not. It's only wine. Like the French have that for breakfast. Yeah. Because like
it's the blood of Christ. Just have a little.
Yeah. What else are you getting at mass? Like just like because my mother's like French as well, so I spent a lot of time in France, where there would be wine like at lunch, dinner, the whole time. And somehow they managed to not all be raging alcoholics. They do. French people in their like late years, 50s and 60s, off the rails. Yeah. They just drink wine all day.
They like hold it together, and then at a certain point they're like, all right, there's nothing to hold it together for, so...
The kids are gone. It's like, we already have 95 bottles of wine in the cellar. It's time to start cracking into them. And that's all they do. Yeah.
And that's an, like... Because obviously in the States, I think because of the like the late drinking age or whatever, I think my perception at least is like we have like an unhealthier relationship with alcohol. It's much more bingey and.
But you can't drink the Americans. The Americans can't drink.
What is it? What you mean?
Like no, because y'all get fucked up on like Bud Light. Like that, you drink wrong. Yeah. Like you're like, oh, let's go for pre-drinks. Like there's a comic with David Neal. He's an Irish comic. He's a bit about it. It's like you've confused drinking. It's like you've got day drinking and night drinking. Irish just have like drinking. That's like it's just we're able to sustain ourselves and achieve like maximum drunkenness at the right time. Yeah. And it's not about getting fucked up. I think the Americans are like, it's big on like, let's get fucked up.
100%. We used to be in college. We used to be like, let's black out, which is such an insane.
We used to do that. We used to buy it was terrible. It was like a gallon jug of vodka, which even to call it vodka is a stretch.
Yeah.
You know, this was...
It was rubbing alcohol,
It
basically.
was...
I can smell it. It's stinging my nostrils right now.
Like, I think we used to do it a lot, and it got to a point when, like, just looking at the joke, we'd be like, oh, I don't think we can do this again.
Yeah.
But we used to get that, and we used to make a mix. We used to get a jug of that, and you do a mix of, like, a couple of sugar-free Red Bulls, some of the white West Coast coolers.
Oh, the White Claws.
Yeah, no, kind of same
like
thing.
the wine cooler thing.
Yeah. Like, they're the mixer. Like, they're the non-alcoholic. Like, 2 of those in there, and like another, like, not like a cola or something like that, but something like that. And there would just be a big jug of that, and we'd all drink that, and then none of us would remember anything that we did the night before. And we did that for about 2 years. Yeah. But it then stopped being like, let's get fucked up, to we're just like drinking.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, to the point about like pre-drinks and then going out drinks, and then also your point about like at the end you were like, I don't even like to go out to drink anymore. I kind of feel like, I mean, I still drink, but I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, I don't like, why do I need to be at a bar to drink? Like,
see,
it's like
drinking at home by yourself is the best thing you can ever do.
Yeah, it is. You
ever been fucked up just in your house, just like trying to make toast, and you're just like that? That's the most fun I've ever had. Like, just absolutely blitzed in my own house trying to cook.
There's
something.
no line for the bathroom.
No, there's no line.
You can lie down anytime you want. Yeah. It's and the price.
And
the price point is a lot better.
And no one gives out if you drive to the off license or more. It's like, don't do it. I was like, oh, no one's here.
Yeah, but that is true. It's. I think I like that there's Irish just have drinking.
We do have like college students have pre-drinking and stuff like. But I think that's acceptable as a college student to have pre-drinking, because it's a financial responsible decision. Yeah. That you get blackout and go out and you have like €4 and like, I have one drink, please.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That makes sense. This adult pre-drinking, and like, I don't understand.
But I think the point of the adult pre-drinking is that it's people haven't come to accept yet that the main plan is actually not that great. The point is just to be with your 5 friends, shooting the shit, having some drinks. Yeah. And everybody feels like there needs to be a destination. And so the destination is somewhere out there. But the pre-drinks is actually the thing. That's usually the best part of the night.
It is.
It's downhill from the pre-drinks.
It is, because then you go out and then you're like, oh, there's other people here.
Yeah, exactly. There's other people here. They're charging me 5 times the price for the drinks.
And then you're like, I'm tired. Yeah. Like, I'm going home.
I think it might be time to go.
Yeah. And one of your mates is trying to chat up someone. You're like, oh, he's gone for the night. Like,
so have you noticed any like big, like what's the biggest difference you've noticed in your life since you stopped drinking?
I get more stuff done, definitely. Like, I'm someone. One of the reasons I quit is like because you're getting into stand up. You're out a lot more. You're also, trying to book stuff in advance. You're always trying to like work and do all those kind of things. And like, I now have so much more energy and time to do more and get more stuff done, and I get way more out of the things I'm doing now, because I don't have days where I'm like, oh, I'm like, I still have days and like I don't leave the house and don't talk to anyone, but like they're on my terms. Like I've decided to do that.
Those are me days.
Yeah, those are me days. They're self-care days now. Yeah. Like before, it was like I'm trying to stay alive days. You know what I mean? So that's changed. It's weird. Like, okay, from a stand-up perspective, I was always one of those people that were like, I'd need a drink before getting on stage. Yeah. Which I realize is a bad thing for me anyway, because I don't know if you noticed, if you ever drink before going on stage, and especially if you're trying new material or anything like that, or something you're not sure of, if it starts going wrong, you don't care because you're a bit pissed. Yeah. And you're like, well, I don't care, and you don't try and think. You're not trying to think of like the audience. Like, I don't care about them. This isn't affecting me. I don't have that kind of that kind of kick in the arse. Yeah. To try and bring it back, you kind of just are kind of apathetic about it a little bit, and so I realized that was not really working when I was trying out new material, and then also like gauging audience reactions in terms of. in terms of like if you see someone's like you ever do a bit and people goes oh, or they're real, they get it, and you can now because I can see them more, I can bounce off that. So I'm seeing more in the crowd that I can bounce off and work off. So it's much more in the moment. But before, sometimes it hit really hard because like your inhibitions are lower.
Yeah,
I could have some like really good sets, but I wouldn't. That's not like bankable.
Yeah,
could like it's 50. It could go great or it could go terrible. And if it doesn't start going my way, I'm tanking the show.
Yeah,
for myself. Do you know what I mean? Now it's like it's much more focused.
Yeah,
and it's gotten over those nerves before you get on stage. They don't go away. So like having a drink before it didn't really.
Yeah,
that doesn't stop it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because even though I've been going a couple of years now, you still just like get that little tinge of nerves before going on stage.
Of course,
and they don't go away. So like it's better to live with them rather than to try and dull them down.
Yeah. Well, and I think I mean for me it's like I actually sometimes think I'm like I'm my best version of myself on stage with like 2 drinks or 2.5 drinks. However, my thing is that it's just like I like hopefully I'm out five nights a week doing shows.
Yeah.
And like I can't just be 2 drinks deep at 5 nights a week. And then also like if you have multiple shows, it's like, oh, so you're trying to get 2 like it's not a sustainable lifestyle. And then also the other thing is exactly what you're saying, where you're like the nerves thing. Like I remember after we met each other in Barcelona, which comes back to the intro, full circle. Shannon, Irish comedian.
Oh yeah,
we met in Barcelona. That's the intro. We made it 30 minutes without doing it.
Sorry,
call back.
I left that out of my intro that we met in Barcelona. That's great.
But after that week, I came back and I was doing this like comedy competition, and it was gonna be like 170 people, big thing, and I was super nervous, and I had that thing of like, I want a beer, and I was like, no, this is what it's about, because it's like every big opportunity you're gonna have in comedy, you're gonna feel this right now, so you need to train the feeling of like feeling like this. And execute it.
Yeah, that's exact. And I think as well to your point of like when I was in New Zealand, I'd be out 4 times a week, and every gig I'd have 2-3 beers. Yeah, and then I was like, well, no, I can't keep doing this again and again and again because financially, but also like I'm just getting wrecked. Yeah, because like sometimes 2 turns into 6.
Oh, of course. If you have 2, your brain is like, why not 6?
Yeah, like it's only 10:30. Yeah, I feel good, and then I had a good set.
I'm not gonna be able to sleep if I go home now anyway.
Yeah,
so.
This helps me sleep. Yeah. You know what I mean? All those kind of things. So like all of those became like a factor in it as well. But that does make sense. Like, and again, it's like you don't. That kind of nerves or whatever, you don't get over. That doesn't go away.
And in a way, I think those type of nerves, like that's part of the joy of doing stand up. Like it sucks, like it's scary.
Oh yeah.
But it's like that's being alive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is
the adrenaline, and then if it goes well, that's
better
better than any high I've had on anything I've ever done.
Yeah, like but it's what was I gonna say? You talk about
the part of the fun is the nerves, or
it's that thing of like where you go, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why do I do this to myself? And it's like that. Like every now and again, I'll get into that headspace of like I'll have a run of gigs, like I'll be really busy, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Yeah, I fucking hate this. Like I absolutely hate this. And you go out and smash and be like, oh no, I love this again. Yeah, but it's that thing of like, why am I doing this? Like you're like, we're at a gig and like there's like 2 people there, like, oh, we're gonna cancel the show. Yeah, maybe we should cancel the show. And then 4 more people turn up, and like, fuck, we've got to do the show, because there's nothing worse than it's either like you want no people or loads of people. You don't want 7 people. Like that's fucking like that's like, oh god, I've got to do the show. I've got to pretend to care. Yeah, I like that is the thing of like being comfortable amongst small groups, which I've had to get used to because I'm put on lots of really good shows that no people turn up to.
Yeah, totally.
But that's also the swings and roundabouts of stand up. Like you can do a room with like 100, like I did a room with like 200 people, and then like the next night it was in front of like 14.
Yeah, totally.
And you're like, oh yeah, this is just how it rolls. Like I know a guy who emceed, he hosted like a guy in New Zealand's like big stadium show. It's like 2,500 people, and like smashed it both nights. Like he was like amazing, brilliant, and then he emceed a show like 4 days later in front of 9 people, and they all hate him. It's just like I was like the worst come down I've ever had.
Well, I think that like I don't know if you ever listened to Tuesdays with Stories. It's like a Mark Norman and Joe List.
I haven't listened to it, but I know the
you've heard
very, very well. Yeah,
but Mark Norman was talking about that. That he's like, that's also kind of the beauty of stand-up is he was talking about he went and saw what is his name? Super Italian comedian.
Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah. At Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And he was like, we're in the like backstage, like we know the guy is opening. Yeah. We're like hanging out, it's like this, and you're in Madison Square Garden. Yeah. People are loving the show. It's amazing, And then he's like, and then I went to this like bar show open mic and just bombed. And that's one of the unique things about stand-up as an art form is it's like that even when you're at the point of like you're in the world of the sold out arena show, you're still in the world of the bombing at a bar show.
That one guy, that one local who's always there, who they can't kick out because he supports the bar.
Yeah,
it's like if we get rid of him out of this show, like we're shut down.
Yeah,
and he's just heckling everyone, and you're like, well, it's his house.
Like,
I can't.
It's kind of his show too.
It's kind of his. Yeah, and you're like, well, this is it. This is what you sign up for. And I think as well when you're starting out, you don't realize like those are the terrible shows are actually the ones that make you so much better than the shows that are really good. It took me a while to kind of figure that out. That every time we do a bad show, and it's not necessarily like say like your own performance, but if it's a rough room and like no one's paying attention, if the host isn't doing their job, or and I know it's hard and all that, but if it's just like a badly run show, or you're fighting against a coffee machine, all those kind of things, like I enjoy those shows and how bad they are kind of more than the really well run shows because I think they're funnier. Like I remember we used to do an open mic in a cafe on a Friday night, and people used to go there, and I don't think they really knew there was a show on. So they'd just be sitting down like to have dinner, and you'd be like, "Hey, let me tell you about these new jokes I got."
Yeah.
And they
like, surprise, we're having a show.
Yeah, pretty much that. Like no one would go around to the tables and tell people there was a show happening. And then all of a sudden we just get up and start telling jokes, and people would be like trying to order dessert, and I'd be like, "Yo, COVID's fucking real, isn't it?" And like they were like, "No," I did no interest. Like, but I missed. I kind of missed those shows after a while. You kind of need to do a rough show. I think every now and again.
Those are the shows that I feel like afterwards. I always feel like, oh. Like there was something important for me to figure out about like what I'm trying to do, in comedy. And when those shows where the 7-person show where there's like you're in a room and then in the other room next door everybody's just having full loud conversations and you're just battling like 30 people, 30 people's voices. Sometimes those are the shows where you do find the most. Like
you get
magic,
you get the most out, and you like it. There's sometimes when you've got like a small crowd, 7 people, and they can be the best crowd, ever. And you've got you have to remember that sometimes when you see like a small crowd, you go, okay, this could be like an amazing night. I remember there was an open mic where I think only 4 or 5 people turned up, but like all the comics that did it was like that was one of the best nights we've ever had. Like, and there was a lot of, like they just were such a good audience, even though there's 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
And they were talking about this show more than like the show they did on Monday night when there was like 60, 70 people there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a numbers game.
I think, and if it's a small show like that and people are really on board, what's fun is it has a little bit of the vibe of like when you're just like shooting the shit with your friends, and you kind of get in like a bit, and your friends are just kind of like loving it, and you're like, and it has that energy to it, which just feels like more.
It feels more natural.
It feels more natural.
It feels like you also feel like I think there's also less nerves, and you feel more relaxed at those kind of shows sometimes, and then you get into your rhythm where you are like you're just shooting the shit with your mates.
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, oh, this is where I need to bring this kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Energy?
No, like
Comfortability?
yeah, like your mentality has to be in that kind of ease, peace of mind. Like you have to be like really comfortable with what you're doing, and that you know it's going to go good, because yeah. Sorry, I've
No. I totally know what you mean, and I agree. But I wanted to ask you about so now we've started kind of talking about comedy, but so what was your when did you first start doing stand up?
Okay, so I have been threatening to do stand up for a very long time.
I've been threatening to do stand up for a long time is an amazing
So I always loved stand up from a time I was very, very young, too young to understand what stand up was. And it's now that I'm doing it now, I think back to all the stuff I used to do, and the long story is, you had video stores back in.
Yeah,
you were my
course.
age. Yeah, you
yeah.
remember the video store. You remember when your parents were like, you can pick any video.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was given this. Now I'm trying to paint the scene. In terms of Ireland, right? I lived in the west of Ireland, right? Now in the town I lived in, it's a very, very, very small town. You maybe 1,500 people too.
Oh wow.
Oh, well, actually, probably a bit more. But it sounds better if it's 1,500. So we'll skip it at that.
We'll call it 1,500.
We'll call it 1,500. A solid 1,500, right? And
a tight 1,500.
A tight 1,500. And they had this really small video shop, and my parents were like, "Go and pick any video you want." I was like, "Cool." And I think I was maybe 7, 8 years of age, and I loved Eddie Murphy. I loved the Beverly Hill Cops. I loved what else was he in? I think it was mainly Beverly Hill Cops at the time.
Coming to America.
Trading Places, all those, yeah. And I just saw Eddie Murphy and didn't realize I'd picked up Raw.
Oh shit!
I was 8. Yeah. I was 8, and I remember I went home, put it in the VCR, and it was 3 o'clock in the day, so it was fully bright. And I remember, the start of it is he's doing that stinky, he's just doing a lot of fart things, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And he walks out on stage, and I think it's a movie. So I'm like, it's a movie, and he just up there I didn't really know what he was talking about, but I was slaying. I was like, what's this?
Yeah.
Is this a movie? And then from there, my dad saw it like that, and he got me into Richard Pryor.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So I watched Hear No Evil, See No Evil, and he showed me some Richard Pryor stand up.
Was your dad into stand up?
He liked Richard Pryor, Carlin, and stuff like that. He isn't a big stand up fan, but he knew the guys who were the top at it. Yeah,
the greats.
And I remember watching Pryor stand up. Maybe I was 10 or something like that. And I only found out recently. I can't remember which one it is, but it's the one where the stadium is it's pretty much empty when he starts. It's it's the front row isn't full, and someone comes up and takes a picture of him.
I don't know if I know this one actually.
So I didn't know that he wasn't no one knew he was supporting a musical act.
Oh shit!
And he shot a special, so no one in the audience knew he was going to be there, and he did an hour and 20 minutes in front of an audience that didn't know he was going to be there. The stage, it's filling out as he's starting.
Yeah.
The first 10, 15 minutes, people are still coming in, running up to the stage, and he's fucking murdering.
Shit!
It's one of his most. I think it was in '79 or something like that.
Yeah.
One of his top specials. And so anyway, watched a lot of those. But I was from a very, very small town, and the whole thing of doing stand up just didn't. I couldn't see where you could ever do it.
An impenetrable.
Oh yeah,
that's just a thing some people do. There's not a path to it.
I'm not ashamed to admit this, but up until maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I'd watch a special and I'd be like, how did they know they were going to be funny for an hour? As a 25-year-old, I didn't know they worked out everything. You know what I mean? I had no idea of that's how the world of stand-up worked, because I'd never seen it. I'd been to a couple of shows in my later 20s, and I'd seen the bigger acts. But anyway, getting off track. So it took me a long time to figure out where I could.
But you would kind of been fascinated and loved stand-up from a young age.
Really young. And I used to try out bits on my friends, like in college and stuff like that. I used to do that. I didn't really realize that's what I was doing, but I remember a story and then keep titling it and doing that. And I did that for a long time. I remember bombing really bad in front of my friends once. Yeah, like really bad at pre-drinks as well. Like, and I was like, it's going to murder here. Everyone's hammered. Silence. Like in front of my mates. I was like, fuck. And I drank extra hard that night. Yeah. But that was the first time.
Like, let me try it again.
Yeah, no, because I did it in college and murdered. I was like, I tried to do the same thing. I remember the punch. I don't remember what I was talking about. I remember the punchline was Scratchy Boo Boo. I was like, Scratchy Boo Boo. And my mate's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just drunk. I don't know.
Yeah. You're like, I thought we would put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a merch drop. That's Scratchy Boo Boo. Come on.
That's Scratchy Boo Boo, man. I was going to get my handle on Instagram. Scratchy Boo Boo.
Scratchy Boo Boo.
But, yeah, and I've... It's a long way of explaining this, but
that's what a podcast is for.
I eventually moved to Dublin, right? So from my small town and stuff like that, I moved to Dublin, and this is the time where I really started listening to podcasts and stuff like that. I remember this is a weird source, and I was listening to Joe Rogan and Steve-O.
Yeah.
And I remember Joe Rogan said, it was like, oh, all you need to do is go to an open mic and like see how bad open mics are and go, I can be as bad as that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So like I went with a friend of mine to an open mic. I'm like, oh, I can buy that. And I met a friend. There was a guy on stage, and he looked like so much like one of my friends. And I was like, do you know Shane? And he's like, oh, he's like my brother. And I was like, and it turns out we're from like the same village.
Oh shit!
Like we live 8 minutes walk from each other.
No way.
And we've never met each other.
Yeah.
Like, never. I bought my car off his dad.
Oh shit.
And so did my fiance. Also bought his dad's a mechanic. Bought a car. So like we had all this history. We never met each other. I met him that night, and then we were kind of chatting back and forth. And I ended up going backpacking in Southeast Asia. Hadn't started stand up at this point. And he was over there. He ended up being we were both in Cambodia at the same time, and we met up on a small little island in Cambodia. Now, and I was like, we're all talking about doing stand up, and he's like, when you get back to Ireland, look, I'll help you get into it and all that kind of stuff. I was like, deadly. And then we went and watched the Khabib and Conor McGregor fight. Right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think the fight started about 4:00 in the morning. So we started drinking at 4:00 in the morning. And about 8 to 9 o'clock, we were both fucking like wasted. And the owner came up to me, he's like, oh, so what do you two guys do? And I'm like, we're comedians. He's like, really? He's like, he's a real good comedian. I'm also a comedian. And he's like, oh, great. Do you want to do a show? I was like, yes, we do. When you want to do a show? It's like tomorrow night. He's like, yeah. Do a show tomorrow night. I'm like, fucking cool, right? This is 11 o'clock, like this is 9 o'clock in the morning. So I completely blacked out for the rest of the day. And then the next day, me and Jason are sitting on the beach, having a few beers, recovering. And then the bar owner walks by. He's like, you good for the show tonight? And I was like, oh, Jason, by the way.
We're comedians.
We're doing a show tonight. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, you know that sports bar we were in yesterday morning? Yeah, we're doing a show there in like 4 hours. And Jason's like, have you done stand-up before? I was like, absolutely not. So we ended up doing like a show. He did like 10 minutes at the start. I was supposed to do 5. I did 10 minutes for my first time.
So wait, so the show was 15 minutes, supposed to be 15 minutes. We're doing a show. It's going to be 15 minutes.
Well, look, it's but they don't care. Like, you know what I mean?
It's just something that's happening.
It's just something that's happening. And I think we did about maybe like 25, half an hour. It was just a quick little thing. Yeah. And that's the first time I ever did it.
And what was it, like mostly tourists and stuff there and everything?
Like there was some expats, some tourists. I do vaguely remember there was 4 or 5 people in the corner, and I'm pretty sure they're on MDMA. And I was like, they're not getting anything that's going on. But they didn't seem to care. They seemed to be having a great time.
Which is sometimes all you need.
Which is fine. Yeah, it was good. And that was when that's like the first time I tried it.
That is such an amazing first stand-up story.
Yeah, I did record it as well.
Really?
Yeah, I did record it. And I remember watching it going, that's not terrible.
Yeah.
Now that was over 3 years ago, so it probably is very terrible.
Yeah.
There's a bit I talk about it. I think I'm going to try it out when I'm here, because I'm able to do stand-up now. Well, I'm better able to do stand-up now. I might try and actually put punchlines in it this time. But so I did that, and then I moved to New Zealand, and then I started kind of proper at an open mic in New Zealand and got on the scene there.
But after that first, like the show in Cambodia, like when you did that, were you like, oh fuck, like this is awesome?
I'd been on stage before. Like I had a very, very short-lived career as a small town rapper.
Okay.
Yeah, I was one of them guys. Yeah. That was fun. So I was used to being on stage. Like we were in it was like a Polish funk band, and I was like kind of I'd come in and out and do that. And that was kind of fun. And then I liked being on stage, and I had a very, very ill-fated career as a DJ. Like I hated it. I hated DJing, but the money was good, and I was good enough that like I looked like I knew what I was doing, but I had no technical skills. I could just pick the right songs. I ruined so many weddings because I was booked at a wedding DJ. I ruined so many weddings. So many. Because I had all my own equipment, but I remember I went to the last one I did. I went to a wedding venue and I tested out like, will my PA system fill this room? And it didn't. And I was like, we'll make it work. And I did nothing to make it work. So we went, it was this wedding, and like if you were halfway down the dance floor, you couldn't hear any of the music. So everyone had to be in the front half of the dance floor.
Just mashed in.
And the worst thing is, no one was there. Everyone was ready to go home after the band. So I don't know what I was doing there. Like I feel like that's not all on me. Yeah. Also, the band before me played, like I had there's wedding songs to play. I had like 8 of them lined up. It's like, this is you don't really use your brains. Like these, and they played every single song I was going to play. And I was like, you motherfuckers. Anyway, so I did all that, had it performed. I was like, look, I wanted to try stand up because I knew I liked being on stage. But
I also think like I feel similar to you a little bit in the sense of not that it was the exact same circumstances, but that I had to kind of accidentally say it out loud. Yeah. Be like, I want to be a comedian. Yeah. And then be like, oh fuck, okay, now I really actually have to do this.
Yeah. I told my friend who also like loves comedy, and he's just a doer. So he's like, oh yeah, look, we're going to this open mic. I'm like, oh no, like I'm not ready. He's like, no, we're going to go do it. Like, and he's the one who kind of like pushed me to try it, because like he was really supportive, but also like really enthusiastic about doing it. So that really helped to have someone like my fiance obviously was in the corner, but it's like, you know, when someone really knows you and he goes, you could do it. I'm like, yeah, nah, I don't. I need someone like kind of doesn't know me, like it's like when your parents tell you to do something. Yeah. And then someone who's not your parent tells you, and then you do it, and then your parents are like, I fucking told you, and you're like, no, but I can't believe you. Yeah. Like exactly. It's not. It doesn't sound like advice coming from you. It sounds like like.
Well, and also like with parents, you know, they're also like. Parents will be like, you're so handsome. You're just the most handsome. And it's like, yeah, but you kind of have to say that. Yeah, you know? You kind of have to say like, oh, you'd be great. You know?
Yeah, and you're like, yeah.
I need an outside opinion who's also giving me some honest, hard truth. There,
I want someone to give me shit. And be like, yeah, you're going to suck at it for ages, but you could probably do it. Like, so like, that was helpful in pushing me. But yeah, the thing I found out when I started stand-up, and the reason I knew it was like the thing I wanted to do, is that, say with like the music and with the DJing, it was that there was always something in the way, or something, a protective layer. So like in a band, you're not the only person there, even though like I'd be on stage like by myself, or like as the front person for like a couple of songs, or when you're a DJ, you're kind of up there, but you're protected by all the music, and you've got like the laptop that does everything, so you can very much fake it to a certain extent. Yeah. With comedy, I realized you cannot fake it in any way, shape, or form. Everything that you have to do has to be you. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And I realized I fucking love that. And I love the work that goes into stand-up. Like, working on the bits, like trying to figure out why doesn't that work? Like, what's a funny word? Like those kind of things. Like, you go, oh, okay, I love that. And I got lost in that. Then I realized, oh no, this is something I really want to do, because there's no like shield there. Everything else before there was performing, but it was like I was kind of faking it. I was like, this is kind of in the realm of what I want to do, but there was too much around me that kind of shielded me from actually performing.
Well, I feel like comedy as a art form, not to sound too like pretentious or something, it is in some ways, in my opinion at least, like one of the most like, this is me. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like, this is a thought I had. I tried to like challenge it, and I'm trying to present it through the lens of like whatever my personality or stage presence is. And even in music, you know, it's like, you know, you can be very vulnerable in music, but it's all metaphors and stuff. You know, you're not like, so I shit myself, and that made me like
also
really sad.
You don't before you're vulnerable and record a track, you don't have to do it in a room full of strangers like 100 times before you're like, actually maybe I'm not vulnerable enough. maybe it's not. That's what's working for me. Like, so that's I love. You know, that's the kind of stuff I loved about it. But also like being around comics and being around comedians is just so much more fun. I always feel like it's like hanging around with it reminds me of hanging around with your buddies when like 14, 15.
Yeah.
And it's just that wherever you go. And you're just trying, you don't have to watch what you're saying. You don't have to, you're always trying to like, there's kind of a competitiveness, but in a stupid way.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Like, I love that people can just start shit talking. Like, I was sitting after the gig. We were all shit talking to each other. I didn't know anyone's name. Yeah. Like, I was just jumping in. It's like, that was fun. You know what I mean? And like, that was given back to me. And I was like, that's what I love. I think there's no small talk.
Yeah.
Like, there's like, how long you been doing this? So good set. You know what I mean? Like, there is that, which I try and jump over as much as possible.
But I do agree with you, and I also love that thing about being with comedians of like that, you know, even if you're talking about something super like dark or whatever, like going for the joke is never off the table.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, it's like like it's like and it's like going for the joke is like the encouraged thing. Take the joke.
Take the joke. My friend was we were hanging out after a gig, and it was with two of my friends, and one of them goes, how's your divorce going? And he's like, terrible. I was like, why? He's like, we're getting back together. I mean, man, that's the funniest thing. Oh, like, that's the best way of looking at it. It's like, I'm a terrible divorce. Yeah, we're getting back together. It's like, yeah, that's amazing. Like, like that comes from like hanging out with comics, like where it's everything is kind of there for the taking. Yeah. But it's also like the way your brain works, and you try like I very much sit on the fence on a lot of things because I try and see every angle of every argument. Also, I don't care about a lot of things.
Yeah, like which is important.
Yeah,
honestly, people care too much about too many things.
Oh, way too much. I'm like, like, come on, you know. Like my mother's like, Marie Le Pen is gonna get in France. I'm like, you live in Ireland, who cares? Like, you know, what's she gonna do? Oh, but she's really far right. I'm like, yeah, but she's the president. President has no power. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are they gonna do? Like, it's fine. Like, yeah. Also, it's France. Who cares?
Yeah. But so you after this Cambodia thing, you go to New Zealand and you're living there, and you start kind of going to mics more regularly. What was your first experience where you're like, holy shit, like that was terrible?
Oh, terrible. Yeah.
Like, you know, the one where you're like, is this what I want to do?
Oh, yeah, no, I have a very that is what's the word? Ingrained in my mind. And there's a picture of me. It's a really good picture on stage, and I'm bombing so very fucking hard in that picture. Like, there's like, you know, the first picture you get when you're on stage, and someone took it like with a proper camera in black and white, and it looks brilliant. I am eating absolute shit in that picture. So I went to do a gig. I know. So I was booked for a show on a Friday in this new venue, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. And we had drinks after work that were paid for by work, so it was free. And and during the day I'd say, look, you know, I'm really tired. I'm out this gig. Yeah, you know, it's fine. And then I was sitting just in work. We were having a bunch of drinks, and I said, you know what? I'll see if I can get that spot. I feel like I could. I'm feeling in the mood for comedy. Yeah. Because I was telling everyone at work, I was like, I'm a comedian. Yeah. Like, yeah, man, I'm just out there doing it, just doing open mics, just working out, just trying to get my message across. And like I probably had about 10 or 12 beers at this stage, but I felt good. This is in my drinking days, but that was light work. And I on the way to the open mic, I had a phone call with Aisling, and then I can't remember. Do you remember the conspiracy theorist that Michelle Obama was a man?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't know why that came up in conversation, right? But I was like, that would be funny if I told that on stage. And I went up on stage. I got to the gig, had a beer, and I was feeling all right. I was like, yeah, okay, I can do this. And the MC on the night was called Shannon as well. And Shannon is very funny, right? Shannon's also a woman, right? And so when she brought me up, she goes, "This is the other Shannon," and I was like, "I think you mean the funny Shannon." Yeah. So instantly, everyone in the room hated me. Now, Shannon thought it was funny because we were friends and we knew each other. They didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because like that,
they were like, we like Shannon.
We like Shannon.
We know Shannon.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are
who
you?
are you? New Shannon is not funny.
Yeah. New Shannon seems drunk.
Yeah, New Shannon was drunk. And New Shannon, I started out with a bit I had, which was it was a bit about what is the single most depressing utensil in the kitchen. And it's, that single egg frying pan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I can't remember the bit, but it was like, it's that, because you've given up hope on ever making more than one egg. You know what I mean? You've given up on love. And that was, someone said something else, and I just told him to fuck off. And he was another comedian. He's like, well, spatula. I went, fuck off. That was my level of banter. I just told him to fuck off. So far, I've told the audience that the MC is not funny, and I've told another comic who is now in the audience to fuck off.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys who ran like the biggest gigs in the city walks in, and I start freaking out, and I just go into this Michelle Obama. I don't even know what the bit. I just remember going, this is what I need. This is going to get me out of this. This will get him back. And I had no idea how to get a back crowd.
Yeah.
I was just used to like either doing well or losing them. So I was like, this will work. I thought about this 2 seconds ago. It bombed hard, like really fucking hard. And then I just it was one of those when you said sorry after your set. Yeah. Like I was like, I'm sorry. And I just sat at the back of the room with my pint, and I was just like, oh my God. Yeah, that was really rough. And then I took like a week off and came back like a week later, and it was one of those the humbling ones, and they're like, I'm gonna work on my set, I'm gonna tighten up, gonna rehearse, I'm gonna practice, and then did really well the next set. But it was like that whole
it's one of those where you're like, I needed that to go well.
Yeah, really
I
badly.
was one more bomb away from being like, maybe this isn't for me.
And it was like, I was lucky because it was a venue that later turned into like a really like low turnout open mic that like it was just be comics and stuff like that, but it was new at the time, so there was an audience there. Like if that was like 6 months later, like that I would have been like, why the fuck am I doing this? Well, there's another one. There's a room I used to do every Thursday where on Thursday nights was my night for just new material, and so I bomb every Thursday night, like back-to-back bombs. It was just trying out stuff. And there was this room where you'd be lucky if you ever got an audience, and then for once we had an audience, and it was 4 people, which plus comics was like, this isn't too bad. And I had some dark material I wanted to try out, which was if teachers are under so much pressure, how come none of them have snapped and shot up a school? Right? That was,
it's a funny premise.
Because like a postman, like they go postal, and all they have to do is that, right? And how can a teacher be less stressful than that? How more, So as you can tell, it's not really that's nothing. But I went up on stage with that, less than that, and everyone that was in the audience was a teacher. And then the only guy who had supported me was like, yeah! And I was like, oh, he gets it. Was the drunkest guy at the bar. Yeah. Like the guy was like that guy.
And then he was like, I want to shoot up a school.
Yeah, he was like, fuck teachers. I was like, that's not what I was going for. You're
like, never mind.
Yeah, I was like, because I saw how drunk I was like, oh, fuck. And then he got kicked out. And then I just continued to bomb for the rest of my set. And then left and went out to have a cigarette. And then the guy who was like in my corner try to fight me for a cigarette. So that was,
Oof.
that was that was fun. You know, that was good.
Yeah.
That was there were some, and also I've got a few of these. How many more do you need?
What about, do you have a memory of like a show where you're like, oh fuck, like I'm starting to get closer to what I want my comedy to be or whatever?
I had a very recent version of that. So last Thursday, I was doing a competition, and I'd done a gig before, like just as a warm up. I did like 8 minutes, and it went really well. I was like, cool. I cut it down to 5 minutes, and it was in a room that like I don't know, it was 80, 100, in around that.
Yeah.
And, like just everything just hit the way I wanted it to hit.
Yeah.
Like in those. Like and when I got the light, I was like, oh, I'm just at the right point now. This is going to be exactly like 5 minutes, 5 seconds, and it just every single punch hit, and I had to you stop for applause breaks twice.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, this is. I'm starting to find out like what I like to do, because I've always I love dark humor, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't think it sounds good coming from me. Do you know what I mean? Like, personally, I'm silly, kind of.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm kind of fun, kind of silly. Jesus, I sound like that's a terrible Tinder bio. Like, I'm fun, I'm silly, but I'm kind of like, I'm an idiot.
I'm
like,
fun and silly and the like, school shooter kind of.
Yeah. It's all. But like, so what I trying to do is like, I've been hitting with like, I'll start with an kind of like a dark and edgy premise, right? But then twist it to be like a kind of a bright end and a punchline, kind of like just
find like a silly part, find the silliness in like in
the dark, and start with the darkness, end with the silly.
Yeah.
So I've been doing like I did that, and I did all of that was like that, and I was just like, oh fuck yeah, because I like when people hear like I was doing this a bit about like sex ed in Ireland, when I went to school. So we didn't get sex ed; that didn't exist.
Yeah.
I went into Catholic all boys school, but in our third year of high school, they showed us like an abortion video.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So like when I say that, everyone goes, oh. And then I just think it's a punch of I won't give it all away, but it's very silly. It's like a guy comes up to me, he's like, do you know what, Shannon? I'm never getting an abortion. Like it's that, you know what I mean? And it falls down that path, but like it's like you set the expectation. People kind of like the tension is like in there immediately, and then it's like the relief, and then you just build on that relief. And I was like, oh, I really like playing around with that dynamic, starting off dark, because I've noticed a lot of comics, especially guys, are dark. Yeah. I love to go dark, and I'm like, okay. Like one of the things I try and do is I'll go to open mics and steal all the material. I mean, no, I like to watch what other comics are doing, and if I hear, say like, if it goes, I'm on the apps, I'm on this, I'm like, okay, I'm never doing a joke about that, unless it's the best joke. So I try and see what everyone else is doing, and go, okay, do I like what is coming up in terms of material and perspective? And it's like, okay, I don't like this. I think there's too much of this kind of joke, so I'm just going to leave that.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't have any, like, Tinder jokes. I don't have any Netflix jokes. I do actually have one now. Well, I'm working on one at the moment. But, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're trying to see...
You're trying to find a way where it's, like, to have an original perspective, and not do the same stuff that
exactly,
exactly,
and that's and maybe it's a crafty way of doing it and see what other people are doing and just not doing that. But I'm like, I'd rather pick up something like I have a joke about fucking dishwashers, like, you know, it's like there's no joke. I'm sure there's a joke about dishwashers, but I haven't heard it or whatever.
Yeah,
you know? But it's like that's my stupid opinion or thing on that. Is like trying to pick up stuff that are. No one's really talking about, kind of,
which is also something I've like recently discovered through doing the podcast, like doing the solo podcast, is I think one of the funnest things, or one of the things I have the most fun with and works the best for me, is to have really strong opinions about stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like having a hot take about dishwashers, or like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Like, that is like, that's a fun position to be in, and like
I like that. I like getting angry at the silliest things. Like that's a big one. I've been always I try to do this bit where I was just railed on against bananas. Like that was my whole thing. Was like they're a fucking stupid fucking fruit. Like what the fuck, you put them fucking together and they all fucking kill each other. It's like what did the other banana say? The other one's like, if all your friends jumped off a cliff, would you do it too? It's like, and it kind of worked and kind of like I have different versions of that, not just on banana, but like trying to get like a very very silly object. And try and be like incredibly, incredulous about it. You know what I mean? Like being really angry about it. But hasn't worked just yet. But that space to me is really interesting.
Totally.
Of trying to pick up like mundane objects and then try and build off that.
And finding your thing with that object.
Try and find your voice through like whatever stupid thing it is that annoyed you. You know what I mean? Or that you love and why you love it. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm also being back in Ireland. Have you done stand up in the States?
Only a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you find? Where did you start here? Did you?
So I started in San Francisco when I was like 22.
Okay.
But I only did it for like 10 months or a year or something.
Yeah.
And then I had this 8-year break, and then I started again here.
Okay.
So I basically started here.
Yeah. No.
And then I did a couple months in like, because I started here November 2019. And then my visa was up in end of December. So then January, February of 2020, I was doing mics in San Francisco.
Okay.
And then obviously...
Did you find that you may, say, doing stand-up here, that you maybe have to filter yourself a little bit?
How do you mean?
So when I started in New Zealand, because obviously Ireland and New Zealand are quite different culturally. Yeah. And I did find that I did have to kind of put a filter on my brain, that when things are coming out, I had to kind of translate it into like Kiwi, like it's still the same language, but there was like references and cultural things that maybe I had to either over explain or under explain, and I felt like there's a little bit of a block there in terms of connecting with the audience. Now I'm back in Ireland, that's completely gone. Like I'm 100% the most like comfortable I've been on stage, and the most myself I've been on stage. Yeah. And I found out like really like I've been able to generate loads more material because of that. And I don't know if it's because I'm home now that any of my stories from my childhood and stuff like that will resonate with people more. But I found like that's a really good, like I'm like mining that at the moment. Yeah. But in New Zealand, like none of that was working. So I was working with abstract kind of things. Yeah. More observations but more abstract. Well, here in Ireland I can go like more, family history and stuff like that. And I think last night when I was doing the mic, I got stuck in between those two. I got a little bit stuck in between those two because I didn't feel as comfortable as I do in Ireland. I felt like because it is an English speaking audience. Yeah. But like Irish people don't speak English, So I was like, I was trying to find. I think I maybe got too wrapped up in my head and like trying to get that across, and I felt like I was kind of back in New Zealand last night a little bit, but also back in Ireland. When I settled into like just myself, I was like, oh, great, fine, everything's smashing. And then it was like, I'd go back and be like, oh, fuck, yeah. Yeah. I kind of like flicking in between the two. Do you ever find that? Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I've always been like comedy has always been a lot of like stuff about my childhood and that kind of thing. But what I will say is that like, references, like there are references, some references I'm surprised, like I'll try and 30% of the audience will know it or whatever, but the references thing is hard, and I'm gonna try to do some sets when I go back in like a month, and so it'll be interesting to see like if some of these jokes, like I have this joke about how my parents sent me to this circus camp. Did I hear that in Barcelona? I don't think I did it in Barcelona, but it was run by this guy named Wavy Gravy. Yeah. And, but like, I think people in the States, if they don't know him,
what he's most known for is he toured with this band called the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
And like no one knows the Grateful Dead here, so it's like
Really?
I've tried it a bunch of different ways, and so the best way is just to say Wavy Gravy, who was a psychedelic clown.
Yeah.
And then people are like,
okay, yeah,
I get what this
Yeah.
is or whatever. But I think in a way, sometimes I think it's a good exercise in that it makes me have to try to come at certain things in a way where I'm like, okay, you like, how can this be funny to you even if you don't
get the reference? Yeah, no, I get you. I 100% get you there. I think I maybe not like articulating it correctly. Just I felt like,
but I do know like what I noticed, for example, is when we were in Barcelona. I have all this material about my wife, who's German, right? And our relationship dynamic and like Germans and stuff. And that stuff does really well here.
Right.
And it didn't do so well in Barcelona. And I think the difference is like here, it's like we're in Germany. Germans actually, I think, have an underrated like sense of laughing at themselves.
They I think that whole like Germans aren't funny kind of thing is
and so in Barcelona I think people felt like it was like
mean.
I was being mean.
Yeah, I got that a lot.
Yeah.
I got that a lot. I got that. There's a review of me that I'm gonna read out at my wedding. This is another show that went like badly. I was opening up a show and I was doing great, and there was this drunk guy, Irish guy, right? And he had been at one of my shows maybe 2 weeks previously. And I was talking to him and I got to know him. Turns out we had the same drug dealer back in Ireland. And I was like, oh, hey, look, you know. And he was like, how the fuck do you know that? I used to work in the town he was from. And we got talking after the show and he was blitzed, can't remember. And I opened up this show, and this is the pro show, big Saturday night, 120 people, like packed out room.
Yeah.
And I was opening and going well. And I heard him going, and I was like, can't remember his name, but I said like, fucking Steve, shut the fuck up and go back to storage. He's like, how the fuck does he know me? Right? And I thought, good, shut down, easy. No. So he kept like singing over my punchlines and like,
oh fuck.
And I was like, I can't talk. He's hammered. So I like said, hey, can you just be quiet for the rest of my set? And he said, yeah. And then I got the whole audience to give him a round of applause, right? Dealt with. Now, I completely lost where I was in my set, and I did this bit about how I got engaged to my fiance. And it normally does really well, and people get that it's like obviously a joke, but it's I have the whole thing is like, you know, she's annoyed with me because I cheated on her in her dreams. That whole thing. I said, well, I did what any, you know, real loving partner would do, and I went out that night and I made her dreams come true. Right. Now, the reviewer missed like a load of that. So she just thinks I broke up with my fiance. Yeah. And like she missed the whole entire bit, and she did like a whole thing where I was like, I think he's been really mean to his like fiance and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, no. So I'm gonna read that out at our wedding. Yeah. That review.
That's awesome. But that would be something funny for you guys to like have.
Oh yeah, like it's in the newspaper. Like he's being mean about his fiance. I'm like, I'm not. Like, listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, we're getting married.
Yeah, we're getting married. Yeah, we just put a deposit down in the wedding venue. We're getting married next year.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice. Well, okay, we're almost already at an hour and a half, so I feel like we should wrap it up here. But. Should we? Do you care to spin the wheel? Yeah, I think I've spinned it about 6 times during this episode. So, all right. I'm very hungry. That's the wrong word. I think I've lost the ability to speak English since I've come here. Like, it's you know. I can't speak German either, so I don't. There's no excuse. I feel like my English is like B1, B2, C maybe even. I don't know. That's good. Or A, I guess. How do I go? Which one? So just give it a whirl. Yeah. Spin the wheel. That's fun. Okay. Drugs. Question mark. Yes, please. Are you pro drug? Are you pro drug? Pro drugs. You're pro drugs. Pro drugs. Yeah. And if you have kids, what would you tell your kids about drugs? Do them. Get them off strangers. Yeah. Hope for the best. What was the first drug you ever tried? I think it was like
hash.
Yeah.
So it went like hash, weed, and then I think it was cocaine.
And
Ecstasy.
was any of them like do any of those first stick out in your mind as like, holy shit?
I think like good, like
good or bad.
Yeah.
Like the first time I ever got high, it was Pineapple Express was coming out in theaters.
Oh yeah.
And we were all going to the midnight showing, and I was a runner, so I like didn't smoke weed, but I was like, I want to get high.
Yeah.
And at this time in California, they had medical marijuana, and you could be 18 to get medical marijuana. So my friend had his card, medical marijuana card, so he got me like a medicinal weed cookie.
Oh no!
And he was like, he warned me. To be fair to Zach Dubuque,
yeah, but it doesn't work.
He warned me, but yeah, he was like, eat a tiny amount, and then I ate the whole cookie.
Oh no!
And I spent about probably $50 at the concession stand.
Yeah.
And then started seeing in black and white as the movie started, and then just promptly passed out, and all of my friends just ate the $50.
Yeah, okay.
And then I slept for like 24 hours afterwards.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of it. Like, I like, the kind of panic-inducing anxiety that the edibles give you. I fucking love that. I love not being able to I'm stuck in this. I revel in it. I don't know why. I just really enjoy being all fucked up on edibles. Like, when I was in New Zealand, my friend, he was an American guy, goes, look, I've got this hookup for brownies. Like, be careful though. Like, the person who made the batch ate 2 of them and was watching the movie, Arrival.
Yes.
She was watching that and called an ambulance on herself. Like, her partner had to take the phone off.
Oh fuck!
And I was like, get me them now. And then at first I took 3, and I was like, let's see what happens. Like, I really, and nothing really happened. I just sat down and watched. I can't remember what I watched, but I know I had a really good fucking time.
Yeah. I also kind of weirdly, I think it's the same reason why I overdrink and stuff sometimes, is that I do have this weird side of me that enjoys the thing where I'm like, all right, I just have to breathe through this, just in through the nose, out through the mouth, just
how far can I go?
White knuckle this.
Yeah, how far can I go? Because that's the thing with edibles. I used to do that thing where I get a couple of edibles and 2 bottles of wine. And be like, let's see how fucked up we can get.
Yeah.
And I'd just be in my room watching. I remember watching Attack on Titan. It's it was on Netflix, and everyone was talking about how it's such a great anime. I'm not really into anime, but I would dabble occasionally, and I just got fucked up. And I remember just shouting in my room, just Attack on Titan, just fucked up. Just for I watched it was 24 episodes. I watched them all in one day, and I just whenever my fiance would ring me, I'd be like, Attack on Titan. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, what is an anime? You could. I had a lot of times getting fun times getting buzzed by myself. I've done a lot of drugs. But always not. I never lost the run. Yeah. Of my
any ones where you were afterwards you're like, yikes, that was
no. Speed. Don't like that. That's not fun. That the next day after that is the worst. They say it takes your soul, and it's fucking it's soul crushing the next day after. It's so bad. It's cheap though.
Yeah. It's when I found out the price of speed, I was like, wow.
Yeah. I remember I got this little €15. I'm like, that, how bad can it be? It was that bad. It was so very, very bad. I remember I had to pick up my girlfriend the next day, and I had maybe 3 or 4 hours sleep. And I remember putting petrol in my car and just sitting at the petrol pump crying because I had to drive for 40 minutes. I was just like, this is the worst I've ever been in. Oh no, I have. Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, there was a couple. The first time I did ecstasy, I did loads of it, and then I was DJing at the time. I just cancelled a load of gigs. I was like, I can't leave my room. No, I'm too fucked up.
Can't do it.
I can't do it. But other than that, they've all been character building.
Yeah.
More so than anything else.
Yeah, 100%.
Now I'm not. I don't really do anything. I smoke weed every now and again.
Yeah.
And an edible whenever I can get one. That's my jam. But other than that, no, I don't really I don't really fuck around. I don't have time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's the thing is it's like drugs are great when you're like trying to find the way that you want to spend your time.
Yeah,
it's a great way to waste time
it
for
is.
a while.
That's just
like,
your 20s. That's your 20s
yeah.
or you can handle a heart attack in your 20s. You know what I mean?
That's a bit.
My friend of mine, like, he was once. He said I think he was in Germany at a club, right? And he'd taken loads of MDMA, and he was like, look, his heart was absolutely banging. He was like, look, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out dancing. And just stayed on the dance. He's like, I'm pretty sure I'm having a heart attack. I'm like, yeah, you can come back from one of those in your 20s.
Yeah.
Like I don't get like 6 hours sleep. I'm fucked up. Like,
yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like cocaine I'll do cocaine in the morning. Like that's to get the day going.
I'm at the point where I have this like fitness thing, and it like tells me all about like my resting heart rate and all this stuff. And now it's crazy. I'm like, if I have a pint of Ben and Jerry's, it's like my recovery is like in the red.
Yeah, you're
fucked.
Yeah, it is.
Just a pint of Ben and Jerry's before bed is like fucks me.
It took me like 4 days to recover from all the food I ate in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, oh god, it was like I'm trying to be better when I'm on the road. You know, I'm trying to like, you know, I had porridge this morning. That was a big move. You know what I mean?
That's something.
Yeah, I didn't just eat cakes all day. But like it is tough. Like, what will knock you out of like your rhythm now. So I'm trying to be good. But once Saturday hits, I'm gonna go. Like, once I got all my shows out the way, I'm like, I can.
Well, and the problem for me is if you're like traveling somewhere, you're also like, well, like trying the food is part of the tourism. You know?
But you know, German food ain't exactly like. I'm not like. I've had a kebab before.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I get it.
And that's not even German.
We also have a Lidl and Aldi in Ireland, so like I get it. It's I know. I probably will start to dabble in a few of the bits here, but I'm good for the minute. Is that enough? Do you want more stuff?
No, let's. I need to maybe start the camera one more time, but let's. Should we spin the wheel one more time?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. What do we got here? Ooh, Afterlife. That's a fun one. So, what do you think? Dead over, or are you?
I thought about this the other day for some reason. I can't remember why. It's so in my 20s I became a devout like atheist. I was like, it's all bullshit. There's nothing.
Did you grow up Catholic? I'm sorry to assume that, but in a tight 1500 village in Ireland, you have to kind of assume.
That's safe to assume. So I was baptized, but I was baptized when I was 7, so I wouldn't be left out with all the other kids.
Gotcha.
Because it was just kind of a, let's not let him get bullied too much, so we'll get him baptized. That was kind of it. Like I was bullied because I was the only kid in school who wasn't an altar boy.
Really?
Yeah. And I was also because they were like, you don't go to church on Sundays. You know, I was like,
well, I don't get molested. No.
Yeah, but I do. I do have a story. Okay, so I didn't get molested, but I did get followed by a paedophile for like a long time in this small town.
Really?
Yeah, that's my first ever bit I did was like getting followed, like the benefits of getting followed by a paedophile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was genuine. We didn't have this is the thing. Back then, there was no such thing as lists. Or no, it was just like, see him.
The internet. Back then there wasn't even the internet.
No, so I kind of get from his perspective, he had to catch the children. He couldn't just download child porn. But so this old dude he was known for looking at kids. And I remember my parents were like, see him, look, dude didn't have even used the word pedophile. I was like, he's a bit touched. Yeah. That was our list. That was our amber warrants. Stay. If you see him, just fucking run. Stay
away from that guy.
Yeah. He used to follow me to my football games and all that kind of shit. Yeah.
Oh shit! You're a good-looking kid.
I think he just thought he could catch me because I was fat. You know, that was kind of my jam. But okay, I wasn't. My parents are not religious. My mother's French, socialist, doesn't believe in any that kind of shit. My dad is a fucking lunatic, so he hates the church.
Okay.
He grew up in old school Ireland where the priests used to just kick the shit out of the kids.
Yeah.
So he's like, nah, not having that. But so I didn't have any religious thing growing up. But the word atheist didn't really exist when I was really young in school, so everyone just thought I was a Protestant, which they were like, he doesn't go to church, he's a Protestant, but I was an atheist apparently. And then I got very devout against kind of, especially in Ireland, like against religion. It's a hate going to funerals as well, because you know they do that bit at a funeral, especially in Ireland, when they're like, and they were like, they love, like the priest would talk about the person as if they knew them, but they were just like a script they were given.
Yeah,
like, that's fucking bullshit. Like I hate, like I used to get really angry at that, and they would talk about how that person loved the church and the person never went to fucking church.
Yeah,
they used to do all that kind of shit. So I never really liked that.
And it's like, who are we doing this live for?
Who is this for?
I mean, I guess it's supposed to be, you know.
Who is this for?
But it's like everybody here knows this is bullshit.
We all know this is bullshit. You don't even know the person you're talking about. Who is this for? And yeah, I was like very against that. Now, I don't know where I kind of sit on it now. I do kind of think that like there's that thing of like, you know, energy just has to go somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm more a believer in that. Now, what that is, I have no fucking clue. I'm not even going to pretend to think about that. I don't know. But I don't think it's like, I don't believe there's like a heaven or anything like that. Well, maybe it is. That's where your energy goes. But I think something like that, you can tell I'm getting older now. Cause maybe there's something, you know. I don't know. What about yourself?
I'm with you. I believe in the, like, I mean, my parents, I mean, lesbian hippies from San Francisco, so you know I grew up Buddhist, you know, kind of very like New Age.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of similar to me.
Yeah. And so I believed in reincarnation, and I guess I would say I still believe in reincarnation, but now it's more, you know, the reincarnation I grew up with was much more like, you know, if you do good things, you come back, you get to keep working on your karma in a good situation.
Yeah.
If you do bad things, you come back in a bad situation. Yeah. And now I don't think of it that way. I don't think that there
I think we're talking about the same thing. I believe in it in a much more vague sense.
Yes, yeah.
Then it's just like, if you do this will happen. I'm like, no, it kind of goes somewhere and something happens.
Do you know Duncan Trussell?
Yeah.
He has a great quote about it that I always use, where he's like, if your light bulb burns out and you take it out and then you put a new light bulb in, if you don't screw it in, that light bulb won't turn on. But once you screw it in, the light bulb will turn on. And when you take the dead light bulb out, that energy that was turning the old light bulb on is still somewhere.
Yeah,
you know? And I kind of think that's how it is. That's a great quote.
I think that's kind of where I'm sitting with it. Is that there is, like, it goes somewhere. Where it goes, I don't know. You know what I mean? And I don't really want to know. Yeah. You know, I'm happy knowing or not knowing.
Yeah.
It's just...
And then the other side of the whole afterlife, what happens when we die thing, to me is there's a song lyric. I'm forgetting the band now. But the lyric is like, who cares if hell awaits? We're having drinks at heaven's gates. And
I know that. I've heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. Portugal the Man, I think.
All right, that's not who I.
That wasn't okay.
I clearly have never heard that before. I just don't know. I was just like, that sounds like something I've heard. Like... No, I haven't heard that.
But the thing I like about that line, and I think is an undervalued part of the conversation about afterlife, is that it's like of course there's a lot of suffering and shitty parts about like life and being a human, but it's also fucking great. And like sometimes I do feel like we should you know, just be like, look it, we made it. We're fucking here.
At the end of the day, you're just here. So just do it. Like I think it's more thing. It's something I do think about a bit more now that, like, you know, you're doing something I actually really enjoy. Is that like, oh, this is what you should just be doing anyway. Yeah. And using your life instead of going, oh, you know, what would these people think? Or what, you know, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. And you go, actually, you're supposed to do what makes you the happiest. Yeah. And then you feel like I'm doing that now, and everything seems to make much more sense now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everything, like, I'm nicer now that I'm doing stand-up, but somehow, like, you know what I mean? I think about other people more. I do these kind of things because I'm actually going after something that, like, it feeds me, but I think, like, you know, it feeds everyone else as well. Yeah. Not financially.
Yeah. Definitely not financially.
Definitely not financially. But
spiritually and emotionally,
like my diabetes, I'm dying. like
I have no insulin.
Yeah. I do because it's free, and I'm lucky I can live in Ireland. But if I was in the States, I'd be dead. But you know what I mean? That it's those kind of things that, like, I think if you go after something. Like anything, it doesn't matter what it is, but you pursue it, and it's not about the money. I do think the money will come eventually. Mm-hmm. Eventually. How much, and it might be too late, you could be dead by the time the money turns up. But I think for most people, it does, there's some way to actually make a living for doing what you really, really enjoy.
And I think also, the other thing is, like, at least from my life so far, it's like everything I've done, if I by following the thing that I was like enjoying or seemed interesting or like my gut was telling me to do, even if it's not exactly where I saw myself ending up, maybe it took a turn to the left or the right. You find yourself and you're like, well, this is a good place. I'm happy I followed that, even though it's not where I expected to end up.
I'm living in my parents' barn. As a 33-year-old man, and I couldn't be happier. Yeah. Even though they come in like all the time, and like, do you want something? I'm like, get the fuck out. Like, I'm paying you rent to stay out. Like that's I'm not paying to live there. I'm paying for them to stay away. But like me and my friends, we live there, and we love it because we're both kind of doing what we want to be doing. And it's like, I wouldn't have been here if I didn't go after this. And it's like, I thought, like, because I used to be a real estate agent. Like, I used to make good money. Yeah. And I fucking hated like a lot of my life, what I was like, the amount of time I was spending, what I was doing. It's like this, I'm making zero money and having so much more fun and feel like I'm actually like I'm here in Berlin. I would have never like I have no instinct to travel, even though I've traveled extensively. Like I've like you were talking about being to Thailand. I spent like 9 months there and did like a whole thing in Asia and all that. But like, I would have never made a solo trip to like Barcelona or Berlin or anything like that without stand-up. But I'm doing all of this, and it's like I'm finding myself in places I never would have before. Totally. And it's like, it's great. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's so funny because I lived in my parents' garage, which I feel like is the American version of living in your parents' barn. Yeah. And it was also one of the best times in my life. I had a great time. Also, then at the beginning of the pandemic, Anya came to visit the week before they closed down travel in March 2020, and then we got stuck in my parents' garage for 3 months. Magical time.
Yeah, I know.
Magical time.
Yeah, it's great. Like we go, you can be happy doing this. Oh well, why the fuck would I do anything else? Yeah. Yeah, I just it's a weird. When I hear some of the rents my friends are paying, and I know how like that industry works, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like I'm not. Like I can't morally do that. Like I just can't. Like unless I was getting 400 grand a year, maybe I'd spend 3 grand a month on rent. But other than that, fuck.
But also, it's an insane thing where it's like 3 grand a month in rent, and you're like, and you're getting nothing. Like that's just going out the window.
Like I won't get into that now. Because real estate Shannon's gonna come out. No. Well,
should we? Do you want to? One more spin of the wheel. We can wrap this up.
We're having fun.
Come on. The wheel's kind of fun, right?
We should have started with this.
Ooh. Woke folks, or we could do best worst.
I like the way you're like, I've seen how this conversation's gone so far. I don't want to get his opinion on woke folks. You're like, he's gonna have some opinions that we can't air.
No. I have like some of these are like character suggestions. And like, I used to work at a health food store when I lived in my parents' garage. Right. I worked in like a very crunchy granola. Right. Like,
I get it. Yeah, I've seen Parks and Rec. I get it.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, we could do that. But I'm kind of more interested to hear about if you have like a memory of your best, a best or worst childhood memory that comes to mind.
Oh, of a few. Which one do you want, best or worst?
Would you have one from each?
I have several.
Why don't we start with a worst childhood memory and then end with a best childhood memory? Actually, no, flip it. Start with the best childhood, we'll end with the worst, because I feel like
best childhood memory. Okay, this is.
It doesn't have to be but
I don't think I have standout ones, but I do have one that kind of encapsulates like when I talk about my parents being kind of crazy. Like my dad's he's a lunatic. He's a great guy, but he
lovely barn.
Lovely barn. Now he did it up for me for during the that was his project during the pandemic. So like when we were like in New Zealand and we were coming home, he like refurbished a part of the barn. So it's like
that's awesome.
It's like a 1-bedroom apartment. It's perfect. But anyway, he has interesting ways of parenting people, right? Of kids, of me especially. And when he used to be a beekeeper.
Okay.
And when I was maybe about 7, I remember I got this shout from the garden. It was like, Shannon! And I was just like, oh, Daddy wants me. Like, just little, Daddy needs me. And I get to he's up at the back of the garden with the beehives. And he just looks at me and he's dressed in the beekeeper, like spacesuit kind of thing. And he's there with the big smoke, fucking, I don't know, plunger. That's not the right word. But you get what the smoke machine, thing. Right? Yeah. And he's just like that. Bees hate smoke, and he's smashing the fucking beehives full of smoke. And he just looks at me and goes, "Run!" And I had to like sprint back to the house, and I've like hundreds of bees chasing me, and I'm getting this shit stung out of me, and then like I run into the house like, "Mom, the bees are after getting me!" And then in comes my dad comes in behind me, just pacing himself laughing, right? Just like, and like he's got stung, like somehow they've gotten through the suit and he's got stung like 100 times. But he's crying laughing, and then my mother's like, "Why the fuck did you do that?" He's like, "Well, at least we know he's not allergic now."
That's a great story.
And it's just a really funny story. And then I
love also that your dad's like, well, it's a good way to test if he's
allergic.
That
was just, it was the 90s, man. Yeah. It was just like, let's just fucking, there was parenting books, but they weren't they're written by psychedelic hippies back then, you know what I mean? Worst childhood memory.
That was the best.
That was a good one. That's what I tell at dinner parties.
When my dad sicked his bees on me.
Yeah, I was like 4. You know what I mean? It wasn't that bad. The worst one. I have two embarrassing ones, but both involve pissing. I used to sleepwalk as a kid.
Okay.
Like only as a child. And I remember one night I woke up and I really needed to pee, and we'd been out that evening, right? So I remember we got back late, about 10 p.m, and I went straight to bed. And I woke up maybe about 2 hours later, and I was like, I really need to pee. But I was still asleep, but I knew I needed to pee. And I woke up in the back of the car, just straight up pissing, like sitting down, just in the back of the car. I was like, oh no. I don't know. I remember walking straight past the bathroom and went, well, gotta go piss in the car, so... And I just woke up and I was sitting in the back seat of the car just pissing away, and I was just like, why am I doing this? And I don't remember if I did anything about it. I think I just went straight back to bed. I don't know, I blacked that part of my memory out. And then there was another one. When I was diagnosed with diabetes, I was 13, and this is good and bad memory, right? So my mother's diabetic, so it was kind of like, I'm probably gonna get it.
Yeah.
And I was sick with it for a while, and we were doing that thing where it's like, maybe he's just like, it's getting his puppy. Like, you start not getting fat in your teenage years. But I was like, I was just losing. Like, I lost like so much weight, and I think I was dying. I was dying.
I never looked better, but I was on death's door.
Like, I was like, I was so dehydrated all the time. I walked past a puddle and goes, I'd fucking just drink all of that right now. Like, it was terrible. But anyway, I finally got diagnosed with diabetes. And I rushed to hospital, and they had loads of drips in me and all that kind of shit, right? And I was like, okay, that's fine, I'm diabetic. I wasn't like scarred or anything like that. But I was in the hospital ward, but I was in a pediatric ward, right? So I was the oldest kid there.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like fucking 5 and 6. And as they were like hooking me up, it's about 10 o'clock. Again, everything happens at 10 o'clock. Maybe I'm just stuck on that at the moment. But I was there getting hooked up to the IVs. And on the TV, right, in the ward, they were showing barbed wire.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So I was getting all fucked up, and then like Pam Andrews' titties were on the TV. I was like, diabetes isn't so bad.
One of the most sexual movie intros ever. The opening credits is like,
hello. This was the opening.
I guess I'm in puberty.
Yeah, I was like, diabetes is sick. Like, it was great. And then the nurse turned it off. I was like, you fucking bitch. But
you're like, I have diabetes. Come on.
Yeah. I was like, come on. Like,
what does diabetic have to do?
I think 4 IVs. I nearly died 4 hours ago. Let me see some titties. And then I was stuck in the hospital for like a week. And there's people coming in and out, and this guy, I think he was around the same age as me, but he had, like, say, 2 older sisters who were about 13, 14. And I was like, you know, looking like I just died, but I'd been in the hospital for like a week. So I was like the king of that ward, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, let me just like flex on this woman, you know?
Yeah.
And I had to, at the time, I still had to piss into like a jar and give it to the nurses, right? And I pissed in the jar, as was tradition, and I walked past the girls, and I looked at them, and I just dropped it. Right in the middle of the ward, and I went, yeah, and I just walked straight out, and I just like, it was so much, it was just like going all over the ward floor. And I went up to the nurse, I'm like, hey, yeah, I've just dropped a bunch of piss on the floor in the ward. And they're like, is it spreading out? I'm like, so much.
Yeah, you're like, it's everywhere. It's
and
already
then,
spread.
What I did was, there was like a playroom with all the like 3 and 4-year-olds. So I just sat in there until the girls had left. Yeah, I was just like, I can't go back in there. Yeah. I just waited for like 2 hours until someone went and cleaned my piss. Yeah.
That
still gets me every now and again. Still gets me every now and again. Just, you know, when they're trying to go to sleep and you're like, oh no.
That is such a crazy part of our brains that there's like that those memories from that age can still bring back like such an intense feeling of shame.
I think it's just because you were like, you think you're the same person.
Yeah.
You do think, like, in your head, you're like, what were you doing, Shannon? You were 9. You didn't know. Like, I think that's what it is. Because I'm like an adult, technically. Like,
yeah. You're like, I haven't spilled piss anywhere in months.
I piss a lot. Like, it gets everywhere.
It's a problem.
Yeah, I think that's
an amazing. I think that's a great. That's a perfect note to end it.
I think I'm in Berlin. I might as well tell some piss stories. Yeah. You know what I mean?
A city that stinks of urine. It's the perfect note to end.
It doesn't, man. London smells of piss way worse.
Yeah. Well, maybe you haven't gone under enough of the railway underpasses.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't. I've been quite safe since I've been here. I do need to pee now. So.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming. People can find you online.
They can. On all platforms except for TikTok and Twitter, because I'm not on them. Is at SBG Comedy. So,
SBG Comedy. The links will be in the description below. It's there. Thank you, man. This was super fun.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really good.
Time.
Yeah, it was good. We became friends.
Yeah, I would say.
Cool.
Nice.